last week's primaries, we now know who the candidates will be in November's midterm elections.
And according to the latest poll from the Marquette Law School, it's going to be a close race. The poll director, Charles Franklin, joins us to talk about these released numbers. They were released yesterday, but when did the poll actually happen?
We were in the field from Wednesday, the day after the primary, through Sunday night, so immediately after the primary.
And this is tight. As Dan Rather say, tick tight.
Yes, there are a lot of stories you could say about Dan Rather and adjectives, but 46-46 in the governor's race, so
for likely voters.
Very tight for likely voters. 49-47 in the Senate race. Hopefully I said that right. For Baldwin, a little bit ahead by 2. The one thing that's different is in June when we asked about this, Walker was ahead by 4 and Baldwin was ahead by 9, but those were with registered voters. If we look at the registered this time, Walker's up by 2 and Baldwin's up by 8. So a little bit of tightening with the same apples to apples, registered to registered comparison, but the governor's race clearly tighter. The Senate race not so close with registered, but shift to likely, who are more involved, more interested, probably know more about the candidates, and you see both races tighten.
Did either candidate get a boost from the primary election? Because they're much more visible than the incumbents.
Absolutely. They did get boosts. One is they're now better known than they were before the primary. We had seen over 60% that didn't know either of those Evers or Vukmir. Now those are down in the 30s with likely voters. So people are learning. They've still got a ways to go, but they're learning a good bit about them. You know, this boost from 4 down to tied or 8 down to down 2 is a good example of tightening, but it's not a huge bounce. It's not either one of them bouncing up 10 points or 5 points or something.
And not very many undecided.
That's really interesting. Now, we are asking people, if you're undecided, who do you lean to? So that lowers the undecided a little bit. But honestly, it's only a 1 or 2 or 3% that say undecided that we then ask how they lean. So the governor's running for a 3rd term. Senator Baldwin's running for a re-election. You still might expect a little more undecided, but not in this month's data.
And this certainly is, we have months to go, and this, back in 2014, Mary Burke was almost at the same place that Tony Evers is now.
It's exactly right. Think of this as the snapshot just as they come out of the opening gate. Where did they start this campaign? And now let's watch week by week up to election day or month by month, how the race trends. In 14, we were tied at this point, and then a little bit of a Walker lead and a little bit more, and finally right at about the 6% that he won by. But that's where we had a steady trend. We don't always have steady trends either.
Do you think the president is going to have any effect on these races?
You know, it's an interesting question. He's at 45 approve, 51 or 2 disapprove right now in our data. So he's not hugely unpopular, and 87% of Republicans approve of the job he's doing. But independents are net negative. So that's the dynamic there. But you have incumbents of both parties who are going to be really stimulating their voters and trying to get them out. Here, that may mitigate a little bit some of the national forces that if you were in a state with only congressional races or only a race by one party's top of the ticket candidate, maybe the president would play a little bigger role. And of course, issues could come up between now and November that just might influence the races.
A lot of things can happen.
Well.
A candidate can stumble.
Yep. We have a lot to stay tuned to see how these candidates shape up their campaigns.
We looked at the top 2 races. Anything else that deep down in the poll that kind of stood out?
Well, we asked about schools and whether people think schools are in better, the same, or worse shape. 15 better, 35 same, 44 worse. So that's a bit of a problem. You've got 2 candidates for governor, both essentially claiming to be the education governor, but people's views of schools are not that positive right now. And also on prisons, has Walker done enough to deal with the abuse accusations at Lincoln Hills Juvenile Prison? 12% enough, 36% not enough, and 49% say they haven't heard enough about the issues there to have an opinion.
And you also asked about marijuana.
We did. It's 61% approve. That was 59% approve 2 years ago in June of 2016. We ask it, should it be fully legalized and regulated like alcohol? And I think that reflects the kind of policy choices that places like Colorado have adopted, as opposed to just should it be legal, period, without any qualification. So that may boost support just a little bit, but a tick up from 59 to 61 since 2016.
Should be an interesting fall.
Much to watch.
All right. We will see you soon, Charles.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be right